Good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the show. You are watching Live Coffee Talk. I'm Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach and a storytelling master. And I help women coaches to use the power of storytelling so that they can get seen, get heard, and get hired. And this is a live coffee talk show where I help women coaches to inspire them and also to equip them by putting their hard earning work to a good work. All right. So welcome to the show. If you're watching us and joining us for the first time, drop it in the comments, say hello, and let's get started. I don't know about you, but sometimes, you wake up in the morning and especially on Mondays, you need that extra dose of caffeine just to keep you going and just to keep you awake. And I remember those days where, I was still in my healthcare profession. I wake up in the morning and feeling already burned out. I'm like completely tapped out of all the things I need to do for that day. And I'm clocking in and clocking out just for the sake of it. And there's no passion whatsoever. And sometimes I see the newer people who's coming through. I just really admire them because they have so much passion. But what happened when your passion gets really burned out? Do you stay in touch? Do you stay in tune? Do you even care of what's going on in life anymore? And which is the topic for today. We're going to talk about is your burnout making you lose out? And thank you so much. I see Terry and Rose Basil. Hey, first time being here. Welcome. And Ali is also here. I have my friend Terry. Welcome. All right. So, burnout. Raise your hand if you can relate to this. Burning out. There's burnout shows up in typically the way that it shows up is when we start having that physical symptom. When you have that mental and emotional symptom, you kind of just brush it off and say, everybody gets one of those days. Yeah. Does everybody gets one of those days? We'll find out. Today I have Maria Massa. She is a fulfillment coach who help women who are stressed out to overcome the imposter syndrome. They achieve better work life balance and have more fun in their day to day life. Like, by October, I don't know about you, but this is like the third quarter. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the holidays. By the way, 80 something days until Christmas. So watching her sister grow and being the badass in their career has genuinely inspired. But at the same time, she noticed that when she opened her eye, there's a lot of stress that's happening in the corporate world, which inspired her to become a coach. And she helps a lot of people just managing and overcoming that day to day burnout every single time. We have Ani here. Happy Pharmacist Day. Great job. And a salute to all the healthcare workers who's been really experiencing a lot of this type of burnout, like on a day to day life. There's a lot of stress, you're overworked, you probably picked up a lot of overtime hours, and whether you're volunteer or volunteer, your workload probably had triple or quadruple over the last 2 years. I can speak from my own experience. I still, do from day to day. I still do pharmacy work. I don't want to lose my license. Anyway, so I can totally speak from my personal experience in terms of that burnout. You're doubling the work, you're minimizing the staff, and nowadays when you're getting, this down economy of what's happening right now, it's harder to hire someone. It's harder to find the right person in that position. So what happened is, the person who remain in the position will have to pick up. All right. So much of me rambling on. Let's bring out Maria so that she can share her expertise in burnout. Hi, Maria.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me today. Burnout. So tell us about your story. How did you experience burnout when you were in the corporate world?
So, I graduated college and got a job at a law firm. And I experienced burnout there as I switched positions. I was a human resources assistant. And each morning I was extremely anxious. Didn't feel connected to the work. And not only did I not feel connected to the work, I was doing the work that was usually assigned to like two different people, and then it was all placed on me. At the time I was really young and it was really hard. I woke up with chest pains every single day. And I think not feeling aligned with the work, and then on top of doing the job that typically was for two people, it just really led to me feeling burnt out.
Mm. Yeah, I can totally relate to the fact that, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you just don't feel connected to the work that you do. And I'm sure when you first enter your job, you had this huge passion about what I want to do in this job. I want to do, I don't know. A lot of us want to make a difference in our work, and we actually believe in our work. And so that was the idea and the inspiration that we walk into being in the HR world or corporate world, no matter where you're working right now. That's passion. Passion led us to pursuing that job when we first graduated. But then you start to experience this burnout. And so what happened afterwards? Did you quit? Did you like say, you know what, I'm just gonna stick around for a little longer? What did you do?
So I stuck around, and I was at first passionate about it. I thought HR would be the way that I could help people in the capacity that I desired to help people, but slowly realized that I would not be able to make the impact I wanted to create, I wanted to make. So I actually was doing some work and realized, because I was an HR assistant, so I was drafting an offer letter and realized someone would be getting paid more than me, who was same level, also a recent graduate. And I think that's when I had the epiphany that, oh my God, I need to get out. This isn't worth my stress and anxiety. And it made a lot of sense because one of the mismatches that lead people to feeling burnt out is when they don't feel like what they're doing or they're being treated fairly. So that was my realization that happened. I was like, wait a second, this person's getting paid more, and I'm sitting here doing the job of two people, being stressed out. And I was done.
I think as women, I can totally relate to that. I remember having a conversation with another fellow coach, and she was saying the same thing. She said, because she's in the mid east, and she realized that, by looking at her colleagues income and pay compared to her, she was getting paid tremendously, enormously, a lot less than compared to her other colleagues, typically a male colleague. She got paid a lot less, but she's doing twice amount the work. And so there's like, we don't talk about this topic a lot, but that's something that actually led to a lot of the burnout, at least for women populations. We experience that because not only do we have to take care of the social life, our outside like work life, we also have to take care of our family life. And when something happened, who end up sacrificing first? It's the woman who doesn't raise their opinion, who cares about their family, who wants to contribute to the world, and we're the one who's like sucking up a lot of these pressure, and it's just absolutely out of control. So I think your work, your job, your passion now for coaching is so valuable for a lot of women out there who's experiencing this. They're carrying a lot of burden. Ali here says, absolutely, you need to take care of yourself first so that you have the capacity to make a difference in others' life. And then we have Rose here, constantly seeking people, being unpaid in her industry, and also her friends, mostly women. And oftentimes, yes, Rose, women of color. people don't talk about these things, but these are emotional and mental burden that we carry. So Maria, I know that this whole experience in the corporate and in the HR world led you to becoming a coach. Like, can you tell us more about the burnout? Like, what are some of the signs or symptoms, and how does one address it?
Yeah, so burnout is characterized by being emotionally exhausted and emotionally drained, right? And what you were saying before, and what like Rose was saying about how often seeing women of color and women in general being underpaid, it often then leads to people feeling resentment. And that's another major characteristic of burnout. Um, you're emotionally detached from your work, so you a lot of times people think, well, what can they do, fire me? And but at the same time, you're doing your work to completion many times, but you feel like you're not doing enough.
Hmm. Sounds like there's a bit of judgment, like self-judgment in there, right? And it's about like I think in your bio you had talked about the overcoming the imposter syndrome, and there's part of us who feel like I need to do more in order to get more, or in order to be recognized or be seen, and that's where that negative self-talk or that inner critics start coming in, start showing up, and that led us to take on more tasks, more projects, or more to do. Uh, I cannot tell you, like, all the women that I speak to, a lot of them have like a long laundry list of to do. We get overwhelmed by all these to do lists. It's ridiculous. Like, I carry a notebook with me, and my to do list is just enormous. And there's always that feeling of, oh, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about with that to-do list, I've spoken with a lot of my friends and stuff, and so many women have these long to-do lists and just that feeling of I will never get to everything, and I think that also leads to burnout. And with that feeling of not being able to get to everything, it's a lot of times not having the resources or support
Mhm.
to accomplish what you need to on that to-do list that also leads to burnout.
Yeah, it almost feels like we are at the mercy of our time. Like, well, I only have 24 hours a day, and mine is sleep. If I'm like nowadays, I only sleep for 6 hours, and that's another, what, 18 hours of time. And I gotta cook, I gotta shop, I gotta take care of my kids, driving them to the soccer games and all that stuff. So I feel like a lot of us are at the mercy of our time. One of the things that really caught my attention is the program that you offer, and it's about helping women to become better boss. What makes someone to become a better boss?
Sure. I think what allows someone to become a better boss is first and foremost taking care of themselves so they can show up as the best version of themselves, and also someone who is willing to listen to their employees' needs and is very motivating and enthusiastic, because ultimately what is going to get your employees to show up the best they can be is when they have a positive work environment and when someone is teaching them in a way that feels motivating and empowering.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, earlier we talked about how there's a lot of that self-judgment leading to our burnout, because we just pick up so many tasks, and there's like, we have to be a boss for our be the leader, whether it's in our team or within our family. So the tool that you use, can you walk me through how you help someone to recognize that there's a better self? Like, what is that tool that you use?
Sure. So I offer an assessment. It is called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. And it's a little bit different than your typical personality assessment. This measures how you show up energetically each day. And there's 7 levels of energy. So it measures your total energy each and every day and how much of each level you have. And it also measures your energetic stress reaction. So, how you show up energetically when stress comes your way. So, it's really enlightening for people to see this because often their energetic profile is quite high, but their energetic stress reaction is lower because when you're reacting to stress, you're not showing up as a high anabolic energy. You're showing up oftentimes like in a catabolic way, which is more of a like destructive force. So it's really enlightening to see for people how they are showing up and what they can do to ultimately move into the higher levels of energy where they are able to show up more authentically.
Mm. As you're talking about this, the different level, I'm having this image of a very busy, HR professional woman who's walking into the elevator, and you have tons of button in front of you, and you can suddenly press and choose. You know what? Today is gonna be a better day, and I'm going to press, I don't know, the highest level, the penthouse. I'm gonna pick penthouse, right? I want to be in the penthouse today. And so she walked in, and you have this image of this woman pressing the penthouse. And when you open, it's either going to be hell or it's going to be a paradise. And I think majority of us, we want to have that control in the way that we're feeling in that day and not being affected by all these other external sources. So no matter which button I press, I want it to be a beautiful day. But I won't be able to do that if I keep pressing the wrong button all the time. And sometimes, that's what's coming up from my head as we're talking about energy, because at the end of the day, what a woman really cares about is, can I just wake up in the morning and just feel good about myself? Right? We do affirmation, and a lot of time affirmation is the fact that, oh, I want to feel today is a beautiful day. And what makes it a beautiful day is when I go into work, there's not a whole lot of trouble or issues that people don't come to me. There's no caught up. I don't have to like keep worrying about scheduling, and I don't need to ask and begging people to work. That's the kind of day I want to see. I don't know about you, but that's what's coming up for me. Like, so how do we choose which button to pick?
Yeah, so I think it's knowing that stress is normal. Like we all are going to experience stress and stressful situations are going to happen. This assessment allows you to sort of see how you react so you can then better react, right, to stress and figure out because ultimately we are responsible for our reactions. So, how can we better react and move into those higher levels of energy when stress comes our way?
Mhm.
Another thing to remember is that, like I said, stress isn't bad. It's when you stay in that zone of feeling stress that's when it can really take a toll on your body and your mind as well. So it's moving out and figuring out how to complete the stress response cycle and what to do to help you get out of that mindset and that physical feeling.
Mm. So I'm always about like picking my guest's brain about like what are some of the maybe juicy stories that you had yourself where you experienced this stress that's coming up, but then what was it before, how did you react to them, and how did you react now knowing that this is the tool that you have? So what would be like a scenario that you might be able to share with us?
That's a great question. I think, well, like I said, when I was working at that law firm,
Yeah.
I think I just didn't know how to cope and I was really trying. I would often just like break down and into tears and like go into the bathroom and cry. I think now, even though I would do things to help with my anxiety back in the day, I think now I just sort of take a minute to pause and really think about what I'm experiencing. And if that means taking a minute to myself, going for a walk, just taking that minute for myself is what's really important to ultimately calm myself and not stay in that stressful state.
Mhm. And how do you move yourself to the next level? So I'm taking a walk, right? And then I've calmed down a lot more. By the way, I can totally relate having tears and just hiding myself in the bathroom and just cry. It's like I'm at work, I'm getting paid to do this, but there's a moment of breakdown. You just hide yourself in the bathroom. And that's bad. That's
No,
bad for someone.
I know. I unfortunately think a lot of people can relate to that, and I hope we slowly move away from that.
Yeah. It was so bad for me. I remember that every night I would wake up or I can't go to sleep because knowing that tomorrow I have to go to work again. And just that having that idea, it would just totally stressing me out. So I totally get, what you're saying about like having that meltdown or breakdown and just hiding in the bathroom and cry at work. And that's sad. I mean, that's sad. What are some of the ways that we can address burnout? And I know you brought a gift for our audience.
Yeah, so I think with burnout, like I was saying, it's really
Mhm.
important to complete your stress response cycle, right? So there's ways that can help you alleviate the stress that you're feeling. So it includes getting a good amount of sleep each night, right? Because I know so many people like yourself have difficulty sleeping, where they're waking up in the middle of the night panicking about work. But so it's really important to remember, like, let's try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Another way you can alleviate the stress is through physical activity. Now, I know some people, everyone has their own idea of what physical activity is best for them. It doesn't have to be going for a run. It can literally be jumping up and down to just get and move the energy out of your body, right? Another way is through creative self expression. So, what sort of hobby can you do that allows you to create something? Is it cooking? Is it drawing? Is it painting? Is it dancing? I think those are things that are really important to take note of, like what form of creativity will make you feel better, right? And other things that can help, crying. So makes sense why we would need to let it out and go cry in the bathroom, because crying, it allows you to again move through the emotions that you're experiencing physically. And I think we have to remember it's okay to cry. And also, when you're in that stressful state, just knowing that you have to, in a sense, honor it and allow yourself to feel and move through the motions. If you try to suppress it, it's just gonna keep haunting you. So you have to let yourself move through the motions and honor them in a way, and sort of have your own mantra and maybe say, okay, I'm feeling this way. It's okay. It will pass.
Mhm. I love everything that you just shared. Having enough sleep, having some physical activity, get into that creativity aspects of it, and what was the final one?
The final one was crying.
Crying. Okay,
Crying.
crying is actually healthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crying is good.
Crying is healthy. And so with all four, so I think a lot of women are feeling stuck at not getting enough sleep. So when we're in that space of not getting enough sleep, whether it's for work, for kids at home, maybe use something else. Like if you need to increase your creativity work, do painting. I used to go through a lot of like paint night, because the paint night actually feels like, oh, I can talk to someone, I can address my emotion, I can express it in my painting. So what type of creative work do you do, Maria?
What type of creative work? I, for my creative work, sometimes I do just like doodling. I like to, if I need a minute, I guess this would be both physical and creativity, dance, even if it's just in my apartment by myself. So, yeah, I would say drawing, dance, maybe once in a while cooking something new.
What's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, there's too many.
You can't have too many. You can just pick one.
I love making chicken cutlets.
Mm. I bet you make good one. I'm gonna have to come and fly over and take you out. Well, actually, I'll be your guest. Come.
The real New Jersey way.
Yep. Tell us about the freebie that you brought for us.
Sure. So the freebie I brought is talking about burnout, and it talks about how to complete your stress response cycle. According to Dr. Emily Nagoski, she had an experience where she was hospitalized due to her burnout and wrote a book about burnout. So she talks about how important it is to complete that stress response cycle, and that just allowing people to know that, again, like, stress is okay, stress is normal. It's when you stay in that middle place of your stress response cycle that's when it can be harmful to your body.
What is the stress response cycle? Just give us a bird's eye overview of what that is.
So your stress response cycle is, say if you are like, if there's something chasing you like an animal, and you're running from the animal, and all of a sudden the animal stops and it's no longer chasing you. Your adrenaline is still running, and it's very, very heightened. So, what are you going to do to sort of allow yourself to know that, okay, this has ended, right? And to get yourself to get back to a normal, calm state. And that's sort of how the stress response cycle works. It's when you're experiencing that anxiety, but then you need to let your mind know that you are safe. And that's what marks the end of the stress response cycle. Letting your mind know you're safe by what I was talking about before, whether it's crying, a little bit of physical activity, doing some form of creative self expression.
And what happened if we don't feel, if we constantly like being chased, right? And I think sometimes that's how I feel, or how I used to feel. I felt that I was constantly being chased, and so there's not a moment where I felt that I was safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely it does. Yeah, because I think we are wired, especially in this day and age, to go, go, go. That's the way the world works, right? Just keep
Mhm.
going, never stop. So we know that stress can lead to, like, too much stress can lead to death. So it is really important to, recognize if you're just consistently on the go and not completing that cycle, what it's doing to your body.
I think that makes perfect sense. So, and I know people can grab a copy of your freebies by just emailing you, right?
Yes, yeah. Send me an email. I'd love to connect, and definitely check out my website if you're a little bit curious about what I do.
And Maria has a beautiful website. I remember going to her website, and her website is just very beautifully, and it was designed, and it also has a lot of information about burnout and how to become a better boss. And I think it's really important for women to know that, you go through these cycles, but at the end of the day, you don't have to do it alone. And so, if you've been stuck with the idea of I have to keep doing this in order to accomplish something, or I have to keep doing this in order to have that fulfillment, then actually go head over to Maria's website, because she is going to help you. She's going to change that perspective of you have to do this in order to get what you want. And it's just amazing to see how a beautiful young lady who had personally experienced that burnout coming a long way to knowing how to deal with stress and addressing the burnout, and here she is just helping others to do the same. So any last word or tips of advice that you have for our audience?
I think one of the last things I will say is I noticed talking with someone, and I didn't really realize this until talking with someone about their burnout, how important social interaction is, especially because of COVID. So many people are working at home. And when people were typically in the office, they had that escape of, oh, okay, I get to go to lunch with my coworkers today. Oh, I get to go to happy hour today. And I realized, oh my God, how important that is to have that time for people. So for my professionals working at home, just sort of take note of that if you were in the office, you'd be doing that probably on average at least once a week. So to figure out like what sort of social activity you can do for yourself, because ultimately that will affect you and make you feel more burnt out, because we as humans need social connection and interaction.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And for those of you ladies, that if you work from home and you need someone to talk to, you can always find Maria on Instagram. She's on Instagram. She's also on LinkedIn. So if you just do a search, Maria Massa, fulfillment coach, you'll be able to connect with her and talk to her. Just send her a quick chat, and I'm sure Maria wouldn't mind.
Yes, I'd love to chat, virtual coffee. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I do have a couple of rapid firing just to help my audience to get to know you a little better. You ready for the rapid firing?
Oh, sure.
Well, we kind of answer. Well, some we already answered. What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah, you're my kind of girl. I tell people, if you don't love Christmas, you can be my friend. Yeah, and there's like different different type of holiday, right? There's Christian, there's Hanukkah, so it doesn't matter what holiday you celebrate in December. If you don't celebrate holiday, you're not my friend. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Mushrooms.
Really?
Yeah, I like mushrooms. Yeah.
Vegetarian. I like pineapple.
Yeah.
That's arguable. What's your favorite beverage?
Margarita.
Oh, me too. See, this is why we're like so connected. What's your least favorite beverage?
Vodka. I
Yeah.
don't like vodka.
What is your favorite season?
Summer. I do love summer.
Yeah, and you love to travel. I know.
Yeah.
I see a lot of your photo on the Instagram about your traveling. What's your favorite color?
Turquoise and gold.
And funny how you said that, because when I go to your website, that's what's coming through. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I made my logo those colors as well. So
yeah, it's very pretty, very pretty.
thank you.
One last question, and this came from a quote from one of the books that I really love, The Little Prince. It says, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes." From your point of view, what is essential but invisible to the eyes?
What is essential but visible to the eyes? Great question. I think first I'm going to say gratitude, and I think also just actual like concern and curiosity for other people.
Compassion.
Yeah.
I love that. Compassion. I think the whole world needs more people who exercise compassion and more forgiveness and more gratitude, being thankful of where we are today. Yeah. Thank you so much for Maria for coming to the show. It was such a wonderful time to see you and have you here.
Thank you. That was so fun. I love chatting with you, as always.
Me too. All right, I'm gonna put you to the backstage so I can close up and wrap up the show.
Okay. Thank
I'll
you,
see you in a
everyone.
bit. See you in a bit. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching today's show. Hopefully, you learned a few things about how to address the burnout. Get enough sleep, and if you can, then get into some physical activity. Hopefully, that would help. And also start using your creativity. And lastly, maybe you just need a good cry. And there's nothing wrong with having a good cry. So, hopefully, today you have learned a few things to address your stress to avoid the burnout. You don't want to miss out because of the burnout. Life is so much more than what we see, what we feel. Allow yourself to expand, allow yourself to stretch, allow yourself to embrace every pieces of experience that you have in life. And if you need more help, reach out to Maria. She loves to chat, and this is where you can find her on Instagram, also on LinkedIn. And be sure to grab her freebie just by sending her an email, and she would be more than happy to send you her tips and resources on addressing the burnout. And I will see you in our next episode of Live Coffee Talk. And I will see you soon. Be sure to follow me on social media. I will see you soon. Bye.